Welcome to San Antonio, folks, where we have a huge top 10 matchup between the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs and the Trinity Tigers. Tigers coming in ranked number 1 in the country with a 16-3 record, 3-0 in conference. The Bulldogs come in 13-5, looking to open their conference season here tonight. I'm joined by Sam McWhirter. Sam, what are you looking forward to for this huge matchup in the course of the Division III season?
It's a really good matchup. I think that's the first thing. And I also think that, for the Tigers, they're in a bit of a win-win situation here in that either they're going to get kicked in the mouth and it's going to hurt today, but it's going to make them better in the long haul, or they're going to step up to the plate. They're going to live up to their potential, and they're going to take out a really good opponent. And both of those things would be positive. If you're a Tiger fan, obviously you want the win out of those two. But really, I think they're in a good position here to take something away either way.
Absolutely. Here we get underway. It's Mark Tyndall on the mound for the Tigers. Digging in to lead off for the Bulldogs is Austin Colon. As you get a look at Tyndall's stellar start to the season. Comes in with a 3-0 record and a sub-3 ERA, and that's about all you can want from a starter. The junior has really been a stalwart in the Tigers' rotation, usually the first thrower in the series like this.
Yeah, he's been excellent and really an athlete who can really control his pitches. Made a relief appearance on Tuesday, looked really good then. And as long as he has that fastball working with that just slight bit of arm side fade to it, he's going to have a good night, and the Tigers are going to have a good night as a result.
Obviously, when you talk about Texas Lutheran, you got to talk about their last season as Tyndall gets a big called strike 3 there to start off his night. Got to talk about last season. They went all the way to the College World Series, making quite the run to Appleton before they eventually fell short to the champions, University of Texas Tyler, of course, now playing in sort of a weird subliminal stage in their existence as they're moving up towards Division II going forward. We'll have plenty of stuff to cover in terms of the Bulldogs' run last year. In terms of the matchup between these two teams, it's been extremely close. If the Bulldogs were a surprise package to many across the nation last year, they weren't at all to the Tigers. It's been 10 wins apiece between these two teams since 2015. And last year they split as well, 2-2. Of course, the Tigers fell in that fateful conference tournament matchup against the Bulldogs. So quite a bit of history between these two teams, as this one's going to be rocketed down the line past third baseman Dallas Bender. He'll have to hold Will Varner at first. That's the first time we've seen a really hard hit ball against Tyndall there, and it goes down the line past the Tiger third baseman.
Yeah, and he just left that one out over the plate a little bit too much. And he was really controlling the outside portion of the plate in that first at bat, a little bit less so in the second at bat. See if he can make up for it here in this one.
That'll bring up Nick Gardoni, excuse me. Stands in as a left-handed batter here against Tyndall. Big right-hander on the mound. Tyndall now has to worry about the runner over at first.
Yeah, and if I were Tyndall, I'd be looking to bust these in, especially because he does have that little bit of arm side fade. It'll make it really hard to barrel him up. Could be looking at a double play ball on the ground. So far, though, he's been working on that outside edge of the plate.
Tigers turned 2 against Our Lady of the Lake in their Tuesday matchup. Came out victorious 5-4 against the NAIA program, surviving a late rally from the Saints. But we've seen quite a bit of middle infield action in terms of double plays across the season for the Tigers. They were ranked in the top 10 in the country in double plays turned. Bit of a pause here as Gardoni, the DH, now takes his spot once again. Tucker holds the runner at first. And they will go over and check on Varner. Tyndall immediately ready to get back underway. Tigers enter this one on a 9-game win streak. Like I said, they won against Our Lady of the Lake Tuesday. Had a couple of of big sweeps, including starting off conference play against Dallas over spring break. So they come into this one at pretty much mid-season form, and it's about that time of the year. It's about mid-season for the Tigers. Many teams that they faced early on were from the Northeast, where the schedule's a bit different, as this one's going to be barreled up out into center field. Play should be made by Meredith, and it is. That'll force Varner to retreat back to first, and there's 2 down. But for teams that are in the South that have good enough weather, this is about time where they've hit the meat of their schedule. Conference is starting up, and obviously we get huge matchups like this in the SCAC where baseball is such a strong suit.
Yeah, it's crunch time, and especially with the Tigers on that 9-game winning streak, they're looking to really solidify their place on top of this division and their place nationally as well.
Obviously, the automatic bid to the NCAA tournament earned through the tournament, and seeding for the SCAC tournament is earned throughout the regular season. So you can't underestimate the importance of these games here, even though it feels maybe a bit inconsequential. If you drop 1 or 2 in conference, you know you have the chance to play for it in the tournament. But playing as that number 1 seed is a huge advantage, and that's what the Tigers will hope to have come tournament time.
Yeah, and that was a beautiful strike thrown there by Tyndall, just straight through the bat of Colley. And Colley, really the most dangerous hitter to me in this TLU lineup. He's just got such incredible power. He can change the game on a single swing. And if Tyndall can bust him up like he's been doing, there you go.
Like he does
out.
there, strike 3, 2 strikeouts for Mark Tyndall to start off the game here in the first. There was 1 hit on the single down the third base line, but the Tigers escape, and they'll get a chance to take their first hacks when we come back here on Tiger Network. It's going to be the All-American Nathan Malinowski on the mound for the Bulldogs. We get a look at his season stats so far. He struggled to start the year after an absolutely, I don't even know what words to describe his season last year. He was basically unhittable throughout the entirety of the season. I have his stats somewhere, trying to find them, but I know he had a sub-2 ERA as a starter all the way through to the College World Series, which is absolutely remarkable. So far, he struggled. He struggled at UTD when the Bulldogs dropped 2 out of 3 to what most would call an average baseball program over there in Dallas, and that was a real shock. But he's rebounded in his last start, and you see he's looking to improve on that 5.24 ERA and trying to rediscover his form from last season.
Yeah, and the main problem with Malinowski is control. If he's keeping the baseball in the strike zone, he's dangerous. He's had some arm issues, which I think has contributed a little bit to that lack of control. as we're going to get possibly a...
Looks just like another pitch.
Yeah.
Morrison felt he had a free base there.
And I was in agreement with him, so that's why I was kind of waiting for it. But we'll get another look at Malinowski here, and that one is fairly well hit, but should be easily dealt with.
And it is. So Morrison goes from what he thought was a free base after drawing 2 walks on Tuesday as well. Has a good eye, does the Tiger leadoff man. He's going to be retired here to start the game. Malinowski gets his first out.
Yeah, and the main thing with Malinowski is just his balance. If he can keep that in sync, he can be nasty. His pitches are so good. You see the curveball there. He's so talented. It's just a matter of being able to be consistent, and that's something he struggled with this season. But he can really overpower a lineup on the right day.
All kinds of movement there on the off-speed pitch. His stats from last season, in 14 starts, he had the decision in all 14. He went 12-2 with a 1.38 ERA and 108 strikeouts across the campaign. So Tigers know what they're up against. They faced him last year. He went 8 innings, only gave up 2 earned runs, and had 12 Ks in the split doubleheader over in Seguin. That was in the first game when the Tigers dropped it 8-4. So they've seen him before. They've seen him at the top of his game. And it's a chance here as this one's going to be hit. Difficult play, and there's going to be no throw as the shortstop had the range, did well to get to the ball, but there was never going to be a play as Jake Martin gets the infield single and hopes to start a Tiger rally here.
And what a great job just to get a barrel on that curveball, especially after Malinowski had elevated that fastball so well, getting the swing and the miss. To be able to recognize the curveball coming and just get a bat on it, really impressive as Rafe Chamet comes up to the plate.
And here is Chamet, the Tigers' biggest offensive threat. Last season, he's come into it this season after dealing with an injury issue earlier on. The left-hander wears the number 1. He's got a chance here with a runner on early on. A big early lead would be huge for the Tigers, I feel like. They would give Tyndall something to feel a bit more comfortable with.
Yeah, it's always great to give your pitcher something to work with. Just get them to settle down, feel comfortable. As we get a throw over to first, bit of a slow one. It just allows the pitcher to trust in their mechanics, not have to worry about how many runs am I giving up, you know, how close to the edge are we. All those things sort of go away a little bit once you have that first lead of the game.
Yeah, the Tigers' best hitter average-wise up to bat, and Mason Meredith just behind him with a .390 average waiting on deck. So if Rafe Chamet is able to get aboard here, Tigers would really have something brewing in the first, but he's down 0-2 in the count. Malinowski's been in control of the at-bat so far. And Chamet's got a painful one there as he fouls it off of his leg.
Yeah, that one hurts. Just off the ankle. And you'll see
Shakes
him.
it off. Yeah, he's going to be eager to impress once again. He had 2 doubles in that fateful defeat in the tournament against TLU. He's the only Tiger that was really effective offensively in that one. So they lost out 6-3 to the eventual champions, TLU. Another throw over for Malinowski.
One thing I really like about what Chamet has done this season in the box is he looks a lot more comfortable than he did at the start of the season. He's got some motion. He's got some rhythm.
This one's going to be chopped down the first base line. It's going to be out past the first baseman. He was unable to make a play. Jake Martin rounds second. And there's going to be runners on the corners here after, I believe, the second baseman tried to make the play there on the ball off the bat of Rafe Chamet.
Yeah, and great run out from Chamet, forcing the play. again, good contact on the breaking ball. Tigers have been able to pick up on it so far.
So that gives Mason Meredith a chance with a runner on third here and just one out. Only thing to be avoided is the double play ball. And I probably shouldn't have said that, just for fear of jinxing it.
Give him the announcer's curse.
Meredith stands in. He's batting .390 on the season.
This one struck well.
And he's going to hope to add to his 17 RBIs, and he does. The Tigers have an early lead here on the sac fly from Mason Meredith. Jake Martin crosses the plate and tallies one up on the board for the home team.
Beautiful piece of hitting here. You know you just have to get the ball in the air, and he does that. Fastball kind of on the outside edge, and just does his job. That's all you can ask.
Yeah, absolutely. Talked about the importance of an early lead, and the Tigers have that here. And I think we'll see some different approaches than we've seen against, don't want to call them lesser opponents, but this is a huge matchup between the number 8 and the number 1 team. And at times, things like that, where Meredith, against other opponents, maybe looking to get himself on base, try to, extend the rally. Here, he recognizes the situation as Shamet takes second base on the pass ball. He recognizes the situation. He says, I can get the runner in with a fly ball. We've got a pretty quick runner in Jake Martin on third. Anything will do. And he gets the job done. Nothing flashy, but the Tigers have the lead. And now they have Rafe Shamet in scoring position and the very hot Michael Goodrich up at the plate.
Yeah, and I think it's becoming a little bit undervalued in today's game, but really it is such a skill, the ability to get a sac fly. I think we're maybe losing that a little bit. But to be able to put yourself into that position, there are guys that get up to the plate and they look to put the ball in the air, and that's their only goal. And really, it's tough to do. So, kudos.
Goodrich went 3 for 4 with an RBI in the matchup with Our Lady of the Lake. And this one's going to be hit out into the outfield. Looks like a play's going to be made. And it is. The Tigers are retired here in the bottom of the first, but not before they're able to strike first against Malinowski. The sac fly from Mason Meredith brings across Jake Martin, and the Tigers lead here on the Tiger Network. Task of replacing Riley Schofer, the slugger for the Bulldogs in their run last season. He was an offensive star across all 4 years, graduated now, hit .413 with 49 RBIs last year as a senior, so they'll be missing his bat. So too Matthew Lemon, who graduated, another outfielder, and Keaton Boyson as well. All of the outfield having to be replaced here in the 2019 campaign for the Bulldogs. Monsinger, one of those who they believe can do the job.
His first 2 pitches in the set were absolutely stellar. And he's lost 2 high fastballs since, but I like the idea a lot. And I'd like to see him do a little bit more of it.
And that one is in there. Monsinger knew it before the umpire even made the motion. That's 3 strikeouts already for Mark Tyndall on the mound. He seems to really have control here in the early goings. So we get a good look at that called strike 3. No question about it. A good bit of breaking movement in towards the plate, and the umpire rings him up.
Yeah, and he's doing it mostly with the fastball, which is really good, especially early on in the game. If you can dominate a lineup mostly with your fastballs, this one is popped up into the infield and dealt with by Dallas Bender. And when you can do that to a lineup, just eat through them with your fastball, and then all of a sudden the second time around, the third time around, you start showing new pitches to them. Oh man, that's rough on them. So look to see Tyndall do that.
He's got Chad Curtis now in front of him, the first baseman, hitting .222 so far on the year. Does have a home run as well. Tyndall continues to attack with the fastball. It's been almost like TLU doesn't look prepared for the fastball. Either they're swinging behind it or they're just watching it go by so far. So that one comes in a bit low.
Yeah, I think you're right on that. I also think it's just such a good fastball. It has that tiny bit of arm side run, especially when it gets lower down in the zone. It's really hard to barrel up perfectly.
Second straight pop-up here for the Bulldogs. This should be the end of the inning. Wisniewski brings it in, and the Bulldogs go 1-2-3. Mark Tyndall appears to be rolling here. He's only pitched 25 balls here through 2. We'll get the Tigers due up here in the bottom of the second. Jack Wisniewski to lead off for the home team here in the bottom of the second. Wisniewski, another one that went 3 for 4 last time out against Our Lady of the Lake. Stats not quite up to date. He's hitting .308 so far on the season. He's been in really good form as of late after a relatively slow start for the Tigers shortstop.
Yeah, still waiting for the power numbers to tick up, but I'm sure we'll start getting a little bit more as the season goes on.
Grabbed a couple of doubles last game, was thrown out going to third on one of them, but it still counts. As number 2 digs in, Tigers wearing white jerseys today as Wisniewski goes down on strikes. Malinowski gets him, and he makes it look easy there.
Yeah, beautiful pitch, elevated the zone. And his fastball, it has that kind of classic rise to it that you sometimes look for. especially when you elevate it in the zone. That means it has a lot of backspin. It doesn't drop as much as the hitter expects it to. And so it's really hard to barrel up. You'll see a lot of guys come under it if it's up there in the zone.
It's Dallas Bender now. Bender, the big appearance before spring break in the Friday game. And he actually came off the bench as a pinch hitter for MJ Mets and grabbed a couple of triples, which was a remarkable feat. Put himself on the list, tied with many others as he ropes this one out into the outfield. And it's going to be out of here. It's Dallas Bender.
Wow.
And he's doubled the lead here for the Tigers early on. Looked like that one just had so much carry behind it, and it's going to carry him all the way across all 4 bats.
Yeah, right off of contact, you could hear that it was good, but I didn't think it was that good. It just had so much backspin on it and carry. Look at him get up there with the uppercut swing. Absolutely rope this one out of here.
That makes it way right over the Trinity Tigers logo in left center. And it puts a 1-up on the board for the second inning here. Just the 14th home run so far as a team for the Tigers.
Some good contact into the shortstop hole. Play not going to be able to be made.
It's the second one hit hard over there on the ground for the Tigers in the same area.
Yeah, Jimenez having a tough day at the office so far, just not being able to make much of an impact on plays like that. And the danger continues for Malinowski, who only has 1 out in this inning. And we mentioned the arm issues a little bit earlier in the game. As that pitch count starts to go up, I'm gonna keep thinking about whether fatigue is starting to set in, whether pitch count is starting to set in, and when he's eventually going to exit this game.
Brings up John Tucker, and Tucker has been dealing with a bit of a slump, and I say we, as Tiger fans, I hope that he may have broken out of it with a big 2 RBI single, ended up being the winning runs in the Our Lady of the Lake matchup on Tuesday. I think for Tucker, what we see a lot of is taking big swings and coming up empty. When he does make contact, we saw him grab a home run earlier in the season. We've seen him hit the ball hard quite frequently, but we've also seen him swing through even more pitches. And so I think maybe reining that swing in a bit as he gets this one through the hole, exactly the same area as Johnson's previous single. There's 2 on now with 1 in.
Yeah, and people can see exactly what you're talking about too. He swung himself right out of his shoes to get it. And that's just the way that he plays. And, you know, some days it works out, some days you just live with it. But you can see him lose the front foot there. That's because he's putting so much torque and torsion into it, driving with his right hip.
Pays dividends there, as it looks like Tucker may be rediscovering his early season form. He's hitting .800 after the first 2 games of the season against a ranked opponent in Cortland. That's in the past. In the present here, the Tigers have 2 on in the top of the order. Due up with Logan Morrison. Morrison is retired on the fly ball in the first after he thought he had a walk. And he's down in the count here, 0-1 to start. Malinowski would love potential double play ball, but the middle infield, not the middle infield, second shortstop and third base have been struggling to deal with hard hit ground balls in that direction so far. I think the ball speed coming off the bat has been excellent so far for the Tigers, really barreling up. Usually the off-speed pitch, it appears, for Malinowski.
Yeah, they've been able to wait on him a little bit because the command has been subpar, is a word.
All kinds of things to worry about for the Bulldog pitcher. This one's going to be popped up.
Man, he's going to kick himself for that when he watches it back.
And a fairly simple play for the Bulldogs defensively, and there's 2 down now. Still 2 on. And Jake Martin, who singled and came around to score on the sac fly, chance here to maybe bring one home himself. Another one of those singles. Get a look at his numbers. He's been a very solid contributor at the top of the Tiger lineup.
And I think that describes him in a lot of ways. Describes him as a consistent performer, but also if you just look at his swing, if you look at his mechanics, he's just a steady guy. He's very well balanced. He stays within himself. Doesn't look to do too much. And that's part of the reason he's so consistent.
Fouled that one off. He was a big contributor last season as well. Which last season didn't end the way the Tigers would have wanted to without a regional appearance. TLU gained that through winning the conference tournament. That was their first regional appearance since 2013 when they were granted an at-large bid. This one's going to get away from the catcher, and the runners will advance here with a 1-2 count for Jake Martin.
Yeah, once again, Malinowski losing control, especially of that breaking ball low in the zone. You can watch him as he snaps it off. It just looks like he's a little bit out of balance, falling off towards the first base side. And that's why you're seeing that breaking ball low, down in the zone, off to the left a little bit towards that first base line.
Big pitch here for him. And it's going to be around and past the shortstop there. It's going to bring in both runs, and the Tigers have a huge 4-0 lead to start the game here in the second inning. Jake Martin doing his job, getting a 2 RBI single with 2 outs and 2 strikes. Can't ask for much more there from the right fielder.
No, beautiful piece of hitting here. And like I said, he doesn't look to do too much. He just lines this one into the gap. He gets the runs in, gives the Tigers exactly what they need, gives Tyndall an ever-growing lead. And if I'm TLU, this is going wrong in pretty much every way imaginable so far.
It's going to be a conference here for TLU, just giving Malinowski a chance to regroup. Pressure's off him now with the runners out of scoring position. Just needs to get an out to get out of the inning. His pitch count's already extremely high, as the Tigers have really seen the ball well.
Yeah, and I think this is more of a loosen up, take a deep breath sort of mound visit. And Malinowski definitely needs to do that. Just get himself back under control. And I think one thing that Malinowski has been struggling with, which I think a lot of great pitchers struggle with when they are having difficulties, is just how it escalates. You know, you give up one bad thing and all of a sudden it's 3.
And
well
potential here as Chamette's ball is going to get over. No, it's not. It's going to be brought in by the left fielder. And the Tigers' inning comes to an end, but not before they add 3 to the lead. And the big 2 RBI single from Jake Martin. Be a chance for Mark Tyndall to come out and defend the 4-run lead when we come back on the Tiger Network. Trey Alba digs in here as the Texas Lutheran Bulldogs find themselves in the hole, 4-0 down. Not what they expected to see. Those are just 2 innings here in San Antonio. It's been an electric start on both sides for the Tigers. Tyndall's been very effective, and the Tiger bats even more so. Big solo shot from Dallas Bender kicked off the bottom of the second. Jake Martin brought in the other 2 with a big line single. Castro Jimenez. That one gets away from Tyndall.
Again, though, I like the idea. He often tends to pound that sort of left lower corner of the zone. And I don't think it's something he's necessarily quite as comfortable with, but the ability to elevate that fastball up in the zone, especially as it runs in on the hands of right-handed hitters, I think is going to be really important for his development going forward. It's a beautiful pitch. My goodness.
That's K number 4 for Tyndall. 2 swinging, 2 looking. As Alba was nowhere near that pitch. It's Joe Jimenez, who's had a rough start to the game, shall we say, defensively. Not to say he's really made any mistakes, but he's had all kinds of things to do. Balls hit hard at him on the ground, on a line. He's been busy. He's also been busy at the plate this season. He's got 7 starts, and then those 7 starts he's been effective with a .353 average. Worked his way into the lineup. Head coach Greg Burnett. Burnett's in his 12th season. 3rd all-time in wins for the Bulldog program with 319. It's nowhere near the other 2 who are over 500. But you see successful programs at the Division III level and no rush to replace a head coach. Some tenure over 20 years like we see here in San Antonio with head coach Tim Scannell. But under Burnett, the Bulldogs have gone to their first 2 regionals, and of course that lightning in a bottle-esque run from them last year all the way to Appleton. So just misses. Count runs even now, 2-2. Jimenez does well to stay alive. Tyndall not backing down from his fastball. His first time through the order. It's really blown past the majority of the Bulldog hitters.
Yeah, they just haven't had a chance against it. You know, this one is line. What a beautiful play that is.
Everybody's feeling it here in San Antonio for the Tigers as Wisniewski's in on the act with a diving stop on the line drive.
Yeah, take a look at the reaction time on this. Moving right as it comes off the bat. And just great play. Keep your eye on it. Looking into the glove. There's your out.
Shout out to our replay team there for the slow motion look. As Tyndall hits the first pitch swing from Austin Colon. Another Bulldog that's been very effective at the plate. The junior's hitting .339. 15 RBI and 16 runs as the leadoff man.
Tyndall's been attacking inside the lefties and pulls that one out, top shelf right. It's just so difficult when you change eye levels like that, especially at the college level. It's not something most hitters are prepared for when it has movement on it.
This will be Tyndall's 41st offering. It's going to be chopped towards John Tucker. He'll take it himself, and the Tigers' momentum continues here into the bottom of the 3rd. The 4-0 lead persists on the Tiger Network. Mason Meredith to lead off for the Tigers, who are smoking hot here through 2.5. Both sides of the ball have been excellent. And Meredith, who hit leadoff for a time period, and there's a bit of shuffling around with the lineup, and Chenette was out with injury. He's got a chance to lead off the inning here. And hitting with an average like that, Tigers don't mind it. As this one's shot down the left field line, looks to be playable, and it is. So a hard hit ball from Meredith, but he's retired here on 2 pitches.
That one again just left over the plate by Malinowski. You know, he's having a difficult time hitting the edges of the zone. It seems like he's selling out for any part of it, or he's missing it. That's a really tough position to be in as a pitcher as you try and adjust.
Goodrich, like to see one of those hang out over the plate. He's got 3 home runs already. Certainly the Tiger hitter with the most power potential, I feel.
Yeah, he's got a swing built for it as well.
Led the team in home runs as a sophomore. Back up to his old tricks here. Still behind the plate for this Tiger team. This one's a rope, and it's going to drop into the left field corner. It stays fair. And just kidding, it's gone out of the park. That's the second solo shot already for the Tigers in this one. Did not get a good read off the bat, and it didn't matter if any of the Bulldog defenders did either. They had no chance. It was Michael Goodrich with his 4th home run of the season. Just talking about his power potential, we saw it there.
Yeah, I mean, you can just watch drive off his back foot on that one.
Here's another look at it. We'll get that for you in a second. It was a liner off the bat. It was very dissimilar to Dallas Bender's earlier solo shot, where he took an uppercut and lifted it out of the park. Yeah, that one was hit on an absolute rope.
Yeah, and look at that. That's just a beautiful piece of hitting. He's right on plane with the pitch, and he knew it a lot sooner than we did. That's the best pitch Malinowski's thrown in a while to Wisniewski.
This Tiger lineup hitting the way they are right now, you think, when am I going to get a rest as a pitcher? When am I going to get somebody who I feel confident I can get out? And there is no one in this Tiger lineup where you feel confident that you can get them out when you're not at your best. And Malinowski's feeling that now. He's feeling the pressure pile up on him as the lead piles up for the home team. 5-0 now in the bottom of the 3rd. Wisniewski does well to stay alive there. He's on fire recently as well. 3 for 4 last time out. You think, Dallas Bender hasn't been in the lineup as much recently. He comes out, gets a solo shot. You think Blake Johnson, DH, hasn't been in the lineup as much recently. He gets a single and comes around to score. It's a special night so far for the Tigers. They look to continue it as we're only in the 3rd.
Yeah, a lot of baseball still to be played, but if you're Malinowski sitting on 46 pitches, that's not a good thing.
Good eye there from Wisniewski as he watches it miss outside. It was a similar setup in the series in Seguin last year, where the first day played the night game and then the doubleheader on Saturday. The Tigers took the first game last season 5-4. It was Jake Martin Woodbright triple and 3 scoreless innings of work for Corey Cater, who got the win. There was also a Tyler Colley solo shot in the losing effort for the Bulldogs. They split the doubleheader the next day. Pitch that could have gone either way goes in favor of the batter for Wisniewski. Takes first. And Dallas Bender fresh off that solo home run. And is right back up. You see he's hitting near 300. A lot of his work has been as a pinch hitter. There's a look at his home run.
Just a moonshot.
net, Bender didn't take another hack at it.
Yeah, the problem for Malinowski has been that when he tries to locate his breaking ball down, he's missing low and to the left, and when he tries to locate his fastball up, he's missing high and to the right. So that means that he can only really locate his breaking ball at the top of the zone and his fastball at the bottom of the zone. Well, then they don't play off each other anymore, because when you get that breaking ball, all of a sudden you know it's a breaking ball, and that's when a guy like Bender can tee off on it, because it doesn't play off the fastball anymore. There's not as much deception. So unless he can start locating that fastball up at the top of the zone and not leaving it high like he has been doing, it's going to continue to be a tough night for him. Stuff is nasty, but it doesn't matter if it doesn't play off of one another.
Certainly have seen 2019 Malinowski so far through 2 1/3 as opposed to the 2018 version of the Bulldog pitcher. And looks like Wisniewski got an excellent jump there. Nope, looks like he stayed at first actually. There was the roar from the crowd. Wisniewski did not oblige. Bender here ahead in the count 2-1. And there's fastball that he cut down once again. Looks like it was in there for a strike. Well placed that time. Rafe Schmidt looks ready to field. Tigers wouldn't mind if he came back around with a bat in his hand. Wisniewski back with absolutely eons of time. He wasn't even far off. Malinowski seems to be concerned though.
Yeah, and some of those checks just feel like not being comfortable on the mound checks, where you just feel like you need a reset.
Made some solid contact there, short foul.
Yeah, and he was sitting on that one at the bottom of the zone, just a little bit late on it.
Senior at the plate. Most of his work has been as a pinch hitter. He's only got a couple starts, and he's going to be rung up there. As I'm surprised he didn't put up more of a protest. That one looked to miss the outside corner by a couple of inches at least. And behind the plate, someone's the authority. It's a good frame from the catcher as well.
Yeah, really good frame. All right,
First pitch swinging was Blake Johnson. Looked like a hit and run may have been on there. Johnson, the dual sport athlete here in Trinity, also a member of the football team. First year, it's been impressive in both sports, which is remarkable, really. To make an impact as a freshman in one sport is impressive enough. And he's unable to extend the inning here. The Tigers get one more in the form of a solo shot from Michael Goodrich, and they take a 5-0 lead into the top of the fourth here on the Tiger Network. Thomas Varner here to lead off top of the fourth. Kendall's first offering just misses. Varner with the only hit so far, and a single in the first. Popped. And that'll be fairly simple. 2-pitch out there as the play is made by Jake Martin in right. Tyndall working quickly, getting swings, and his defense is backing him well. Gardoni stands in. He's been an offensive leader so far for the Bulldogs in 2019. He's got 17 starts, a .352 average, and 18 RBIs, which ties him with Tyler Cawley, who's on deck for the team lead. Coincidentally, that's more than any Tiger player. Triple stuck on 17. So that one just misses the bottom of the zone.
Tyndall still leading with the fastball. Doing a good job of it as well. Just barely missing on 2 or 3 pitches this inning.
First time we've really seen him well behind in the count. 3-1. Put someone out there to be hit, and it is, but it's going to be hit right at Martin. Is the play made? Looks like it was. Martin's throw wasn't entirely accurate, and it brought John Tucker off the bag. We'll see exactly what the umpire saw here making his call. Looks like Tucker may have been on the wrong side of the bag, or maybe Logan Morrison threw to the wrong side of the bag. There's going to be a conference here to discuss the call.
And it looked like he might have just gotten a stab in with the foot. Just barely. Look at him. Some really slow motion.
So the throw certainly brought him off the bag, and he should be safe.
Yeah, if he didn't have it on that first one, that should be safe, but
looks like Tigers get a bit of fortune there. Umpires don't have the luxury of instant replay like we do. And so Cawley will have to bat here with the bases empty. Someone's going to take a big play here, and Dallas Bender makes the throw across. And the Tigers continue rolling through it here. They're going to head to the bottom of the fourth with the 5-run lead intact after the Bulldogs go 1-2-3. Going to be John Tucker here to lead off for the Tigers after Blake Johnson grounded out to end the third. Tucker had quite a bit to do over at first base defensively in the top half of this inning, as there was the controversial play where he had to stab back and get the out, and then he had a big stretch to make on the throw across from Dallas Bender to get the third out. It's already 1 for 1 here today. And this one's going to be fouled straight back. Here to look at his average. It's been on the continuous decline since a ridiculously hot start. It was an unsustainably hot start, as we've come to see from John Tucker. He was D3 Baseball National Player of the Week to kick off the season. I think maybe he's a player that he built that expectation for himself in his head when he had that monster weekend. And now he's been struggling to live up to it, but the Tigers have seen him come around in the last couple at-bats. Hope to see that continue from their number 4.
Yeah, and his approach does tend to mark him as sort of a streaky player. He has a tendency to take a lot of swings, tendency to put a lot of effort into those swings. And sometimes you can just get in a rut where things aren't lining up quite right. And you see things like that.
Didn't line up for him there as he strikes out on a 2-2 pitch from Malinowski. It's Malinowski's third strikeout here, but it brings up the top of the order for the Tigers. Logan Morrison has a couple of fly balls out into right field. Already his third time up to the plate, only in the 4th inning. Expect him as a leadoff man to rack up the at-bats. You also expect him to get on base, something he's yet to do so far tonight.
That's a shame. It looked like Malinowski had started to get his pitches under control a little bit through his arguably best fastball of the night to Morrison, just the pitch before that, and then lost one.
Yeah, Brandt also lost it out of the glove. It's a 1-2 pitch now in the dirt. This count is in danger of running away from the big right-hander on the mound.
Yeah, and I think part of it is just confidence for Malinowski, as he again gets that call in the bottom left.
That'll build the confidence as he's got 2 straight strikeouts here as he looks to maybe be settling in the 4th inning. New Braunfels native be feeling a little bit better now. He's got to face Jake Martin, who's been extremely successful thus far. A couple of singles. Big single brought home 2 runs in the second inning. Also scored one himself in the first. This one's going to be chopped. Should be playable for the infield. It's bobbled by Jimenez, and he throws it almost in disgust at his own action towards the feet of his first baseman. That'll definitely go down as an error as it came in fairly playably on the infield grass.
Yeah, he just caught it on the short hop and wasn't able to do anything more with it after that. Probably just needed to charge it a bit harder, and you would have had that play made.
We'll see if it does go down as an error. I may have been a bit too emphatic in my scoring. But no help from the defense there for Malinowski.
And that's tough, especially when you just feel like you've started to get rolling. You feel like you've started to settle in. Your pitch count's a little bit high, but you think maybe this is a time when you can get a couple outs, and then you don't get some help from your defense to get you out of an inning, and you have to throw some more pitches, and especially to this guy at the plate. Yeah, that's not fun.
Absolutely. Official scoring is a throwing error. So they will go against him for throw into the dirt. So Jake Martin is not 3 for 3. but he's reached all 3 times. And that's, at the end of the day, what's really important. Shamet has a single in the first and flew out in the second. And he gets the bat on the ball here, and it gets through Jimenez, whose rough night continues defensively. Tigers have 2 aboard as they look to craft a 2-out rally here. So many balls being hit hard on the ground towards Jimenez. So far, he hasn't been up to the task.
Yeah, and that one just slips past him. Beautiful job of hitting by Shamet, though, just to be able to dig that curve out at the bottom of the zone. Right before that, Malinowski threw sort of a comfort curve that wasn't all that nasty. That one was. And that also was a pretty good one there to Meredith. And those are tough to dig out when they're like that.
Yeah, you'd feel like maybe you're being harsh on Jimenez. He's had a huge volume of work to deal with through just 3 2/3.
Yeah, he's definitely been put in some tough spots.
Meredith swings right through that one. He's down 0-2 in the count. 2 runners on base here. The Tigers look to rally with 2 outs. Goodrich, fresh off of a solo home run, waiting on deck. And he'll have to wait until next inning as Malinowski strikes out the side here. 1 swinging, 2 looking. He may have found something, and we'll see if the Bulldog bats can get going in the top of the 5th inning in just a moment. Bulldogs come out in the top of the 5th, looking to build out the momentum afforded to them by their pitcher. Struck out the side, albeit a hit and an error in between. And it's going to be Colin Motzinger trying to get them started. He's hitting .300 coming into this one. He's started 17 games, so decent body of work for the center fielder. 12 RBI as well. Seems like a good guy to have in the middle of your lineup, consistent hitter. And he's going to have to lead off here. Try to get his team going, and he does well as Tyndall issues his first walk. That was uncharacteristic of his outing so far.
Yeah, and exactly what I was about to say is that Tyndall doesn't look quite as comfortable coming out this inning. I saw a couple of his warm-up pitches. They didn't look fantastic, and now he's given up a leadoff walk, missed twice upstairs and twice downstairs, and when you can't locate up or down in an at-bat, that's not great. So we'll see if he can drag it back a little bit here. Looked like he might have been dragging his elbow just a little bit on those. That was a lot better.
Chance for Bender to at least get the lead runner. A chance to turn 2. And it proved too much for the Tiger defense, but they do get the lead man. Tyndall got the ground ball that he was looking for, but it was just, I think, too much to ask for with the ball so far to Dallas Bender's right. And the chop on it as well.
Yeah, and it doesn't help to have the center fielder rushing down the first base line either. Those guys have some speed.
Chad Curtis, first pitch swinging, puts this one out towards Mason Meredith. And the reliable center fielder gets it and immediately guns it in. It was too hot to handle for Jack Wisniewski. Mark Tyndall picks it up, and he's ready to go again.
Good job getting out of what could have been a pitch count nightmare for Tyndall.
It's quickly back in a rhythm with 2 outs. And Alba up to the plate. 4th was the first time the Tigers failed to score a run. Went 1-3, 1-0 on the box score.
There it is.
The Tomball, Texas native. Has a big task here in trying to find something off Tyndall. Bulldogs haven't recorded a hit since the 1st. They at least have a base runner here in the 5th. Something to work with maybe, but they're down in the count 0-2.
Yeah, and Tyndall looks like he's made his slight adjustment. It didn't look like it was going to take much, and it in the end didn't. And he looks right back on it. I mean, look at that pitch.
Alba just did extremely well to even make contact with it. Stays alive with the 0-2 count. And he goes high once again with the fastball. Should be playable for the Tigers defensively. And the play is made by Morrison, ranging out into shallow right field. So the side is retired, and we head to the bottom of the 5th with the Tigers still rolling. 5-run lead on the Tiger Network. The question we had over break is which Nathan Malinovsky is going to show up for this inning. Could we see the 2018 version of the pitcher, the 2019 version of the pitcher, or some combination of both like we saw last inning? Last inning, the first time the Tigers failed to score. They did get a couple aboard before the side was eventually retired, all 3 on strikeouts. Here's Goodrich. There's 1 for 2. The solo home run. And that was strange. It looked like he swung at a pitch that bounced.
Yeah, just Can't entirely speak to the thought process there, but looked like he might have just been fooled. Thought it was a fastball up.
If it would have been a drop kick-esque motion, he could have popped it over the infield. He goes down on 3 pitches. And that is 4 straight strikeouts for Malinovsky.
Yeah, and he's pitching backwards right now, and it's working for him. I think really key for him was when he found a little bit more confidence in the curve down in the zone. When he got that Dallas Bender strikeout, I think that's when he was really able to turn a corner with the confidence. And I think that's what we mentioned, is just sometimes with these guys, it's just a matter of trusting your stuff. Sometimes it's not a mechanical issue.
First pitch swinging is Jack Wisniewski. It's going to be a big play here for Jimenez. And once again, he's unable to make it. That should be an infield single as he was ranging far to his right. And a wry smile from the Tiger shortstop as the aforementioned Dallas Bender is back up to the plate. But explain that concept for the viewers at home. Pitching, you said in reverse, kind of backwards.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, traditionally when you pitch, you like to set up your fastball first, and then you have your breaking stuff work off of that. So let's say you're a fastball curveball guy. You're throwing your fastballs top of the zone, and then you throw your curveballs maybe later in the at-bat or later in the inning as this one gets out into the outfield on a Dallas Bender single.
Yeah, there was potential there for Austin Colon to bring it in, the second baseman. And it just sneaked past his glove, and Tigers may have something cooking here once again in the 5th. So close for the Bulldogs second baseman.
Yeah, and that one again, an example, throwing that curve straight out of the gate, you can sometimes put yourself in a bit of a vulnerable position with it. But that's what he's doing essentially right now, is he's coming out with the breaking stuff, and then he's going to challenge you later in the at-bat with the fastball. So a little bit of the reverse of what it would normally be for a pitcher.
See if Johnson sits on that breaking ball here. He's got 2 on and 1 out. As Malinovsky's 4 straight strikeouts seem like a thing of the distant past. Starts with a fastball there that time. Baseball, a game where you can focus on so many different levels. That individual battle between the pitch selection and the batter perhaps sitting on a fastball, sitting on a curveball. You can just think of it in terms of the 2 teams overall. The defensive battle, positioning, the shifts. As this one is hacked by Johnson. Too much air under it. And Jimenez reliable there on the pop fly. 2 down now, and this is a situation the Tigers are familiar with. 3rd straight inning, they've had 2 on and 2 out. This time it'll be up to John Tucker to extend the inning.
Yeah, and it'd be really interesting to see what Malinovsky does against Tucker in this at-bat. There are a lot of ways that you can say, oh, well, pitching is about this, pitching is about that. I think probably one of the truest is that pitching is about making adjustments. And you saw right after Bender jumped on that curveball, Malinovsky went back to the fastball. He had confidence in it. He had trust in it. And now he's back on it with Tucker as well. And that's part of what it is just making adjustments, being able to adjust to how the hitters are seeing your stuff, how you're throwing your stuff. All those things combine. And if you're able to do that successfully, that's a good pitcher.
We know Malinovsky is a good pitcher. Haven't seen it as much in 2019, though. He's certainly not a surprise package to anyone in the country anymore. At a 1.38 ERA across 14 starts in 2018.
Yeah, and good title, or good pitcher is such a fickle title, you know. At bat to at bat, game to game, pitch to pitch even. Only the people right at the top echelon can really say that they're consistent.
Tucker behind in the count 1-2. And Malinovsky's going to feel hard done by the umpire's decision there. Looked to be in there. And now it'll be a 2-2 pitch. Tucker looking to extend the inning for the Tigers. Perhaps extend the lead if he's able to get something out into the outfield.
Yeah, and you have to start looking at that pitch count for Malinowski as well and start wondering, you know, how many batters does he have left in him? How many pitches does he have left in him? We've seen the arm fatigue kick in every once in a while.
They're certainly setting up outside there, and Tucker bit, but he was able to foul it off and stay alive. Yeah, for Malinowski, if you look at his innings pitched versus his starts, he's somewhere around 5 on average this season. Last season, he was around 8. So that's a big difference in terms of efficiency and in terms of effectiveness. But we don't have eyes on the bullpen, as I don't think that was ball 4 for Tucker. And I think he was the only one that didn't know. Our graphic certainly showed a 2-2 pitch. Tucker's convinced it was ball 4. The umpires are content to just not make the decision. Saw the second base umpire waving Wisniewski to third. Seems like elementary confusion here.
Yeah, it looked like perhaps just a misleading gesture by the umpire earlier in the at-bat when we thought a strike was called and it wasn't. That would have put us at the 3-1 pitch perhaps, and maybe that's how he's getting on first now. Difficult to tell in hindsight, obviously. We're not the only ones that were confused by it, as TLU head coach Greg Burnett comes out to have a little discussion about it, but in the end, he will make the move to first.
Game feels like it's hanging in the balance here, as Morrison has the potential to blow it open with the bases loaded. And Malinowski on the mound really needs to get this batter to give his team a chance, keep his team in this one in the bottom of the 5th. Morrison is 0 for 3 so far. Malinowski needs to channel what he's done so far for the Tiger leadoff man. He wags the bat, and the curveball comes in the dirt.
Yeah, and I have to think that if I'm managing this game and Malinowski doesn't get this batter out, we're taking a walk to the mound and pulling him.
Misses low once again, and a really dangerous situation here if you're a Bulldog fan. 2-0 count to Tiger hitter that's hitting over 300, the leadoff man. It's been consistent across a couple of seasons here in San Antonio, and he just needs a big hit to maybe put this one out of reach for the team who's traveled down from Seguin today. It's a short 45-minute or so drive up the road. They traveled all the way to Appleton last season in the College World Series. No room to miss here for Malinowski, and he did. And the Tigers push the lead out to 6-0 with the walk from Logan Morrison. Wisniewski comes around to score. Dallas Bender now waits on third. And Malinowski is still in this game. And look who it is, Jake Martin. He's 2 for 3. He's reached all 3 times, though, on an air. He's got already a 2 RBI single and scored a run. And Malinowski cannot find the strike zone.
Yeah, that's rough. And I can't say that I'm necessarily surprised that he's still in the game. You know, you have a doubleheader coming up tomorrow, but the dude is pushing the century mark, and he's thrown something like 5 straight balls now. And that would have been 6 if it wasn't swung on. So, again, not surprised necessarily, but not the decision that I would have made.
Yeah, we don't have eyes on the bullpen. I'm sure somebody's warming up at this point. It's such a tough situation, though, for the manager. You know what he's capable of. And in the same way you see batters go through slumps, it just appears like he's in a slump. And your pitcher is such. He's really struggling. That time he does find the strike zone, though. 1-2 count against Jake Martin with the bases loaded. That was Malinowski's 100th pitch, notably. And the number 23 comes set. Another one fouled back. It'll be, I believe, 2-2. See if we get a indication from the umpire. There was confusion earlier on the walk from Tucker as well. Yes, 2-2. Straight from the hands of the man behind the plate. Malinowski fighting to get out of this 5th inning. And that is the 3rd on this at-bat already that Martin has fouled straight back. Crowd needs to look out there as that one came down in a dangerous area. Tigers have already added on to the lead here in the 5th, looking to do more damage with the bases loaded. And Jake Martin's looking to add to what's already been a big night at the plate. Be interesting to see what Malinowski chooses to go with here. 2 strikes. Got 1 pitch to give, if he so chooses. And Martin's going to go back to the dugout, disappointed that he couldn't do more damage there. The Tigers get 1 more, but leave the bases loaded. And the Bulldogs see the door maybe just slightly creaked open and not slammed shut here as we head into the 6th inning. Tigers ahead 6-0. Be the number 9 hitter, Joe Jimenez, to lead off. Bulldogs really need to get something going here in the 6th inning. Mark Tyndall is determined that that's not going to happen. He's only just hit 60 pitches, and in contrast to his opposing number on the mound, he's been outstanding, and he's been efficient, and he's been all the superlatives that you can throw on a pitcher. He's only given up 1 hit, and that was back in the 1st.
Yeah, he's been superb. He's been in control of his mechanics. And he's been in control of this game.
Gets a big swinging strikeout there. Let me count them up for you. That looks like number 5 for Tyndall.
Yeah, and just bust him in. That looked like it could have been a changeup inside. Hard to tell without the velocity reading since he does have some arm side run on his fastball. But if I had to guess, I'd say that's what that was, and it was beautiful.
I think for me at the plate right now, it looks like TLU may be dealing with the ghost of success past. They have so many seniors last season. They make a huge run, best season in program history. People like Riley Chauffeur hits 413, almost has 50 RBIs in a season. So many big contributors. Keaton Boyson, the list goes on and on. And I think the expectation just appears, at least so far in this one, it's only been one game. We'll see over the course of the series. It looks like the expectation may be weighing heavy on the shoulders of this Bulldog team.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I think that happens anytime you have a successful program. And it's one of the things that the Tigers have done fairly well over the years is just being accountable to their current selves, not their past selves. And I think that that's important in every sport, but especially so in baseball, where consistency and pressure are such huge factors.
Tyndall went back to 3-1 after he jumped out ahead. Now he's got the count full against Austin Colon. Nearly had the diving play defensively in the 5th.
Tyndall's racking up some pitches this inning. He's had some where he threw more warm-up pitches than actual pitches in the inning, but I wouldn't say he's laboring, just a couple more than maybe he's been used to so far.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all relative considering the outing that we've seen from the two opposing pitchers. This one's going to be chopped through the infield, and that's the first hit we've seen for the Bulldogs since the first.
Great piece of hitting. Not a bad pitch, not a missed pitch. Just a good, solid piece of hitting, and not much you can do about it.
So Colon now stands on first. Only the third time in this game that Tyndall's had to worry about a runner on. He's also got one out, so potential to get out of the inning with one pitch. Here's the other man with the hit, Thomas Farner. Native of Austin, Texas. Fouls the first pitch into the stands. I think something we'll see, and we'll see as we preview tomorrow's doubleheader. Another thing that the Bulldogs have yet to find after losing Dylan Dragic is a number 2 pitcher. And you can even make the case as the Tigers look to turn, no chance to turn 2 there, but they get Varner running at first, and then runners advance to second. So ground ball, but too softly hit for the double play. Like I was saying, you can make the argument that with Malinowski not at his best, they've struggled to find pitching at all. But last season, it was the 1-2 punch between Dragic and Malinowski, neither of which have easy names to pronounce, I'll let you know. But they combined for only 4 losses between the two of them and 23 wins on that huge season. All started on the mound. They had solid pitching. They had a solid 1 and a solid 2. And they're in search of, I would say, 1.5 of those 2 as they come into the 2019 campaign and the season starts to really heat up.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a program struggling to find their number 2 pitcher and a number 1 pitcher struggling to find himself. So how poetic is that? But I definitely agree with you. It's been a struggle. And, every program goes through peaks and valleys, and I certainly don't want to suggest that TLU is in a valley because they're a very good team, and I think the scoreline doesn't show that tonight, but they really are. And as much as they have struggles at certain positions, I really do think that they have such potential to turn it around.
You saw in the background there of that shot, there is someone throwing not unexpectedly in the bullpen for the Bulldogs. Most likely see him coming out in the bottom of the 6th. Tyndall is just looking to get there. He's got a runner on second. He's thrown 16 pitches, which I believe is probably the most in an inning he's thrown. And he gets strike 2 there.
That's the ball that he's been looking for this inning and hasn't been able to find. That high fastball that just catches the top right corner.
He finds his grip of choice. He's going to attack Nick Gardoni here with 2 strikes. And Gardoni does well to stay alive. And much to the relief of a vast majority of Americans, Duke has come out victorious in an 85-62 contest. So bracket's not quite busted yet.
Speak for yourself.
As this one gets through, a chance for TLU to get a run on the board. As it sneaks down the line for a double for Gardoni. So the man who's been extremely successful for them this season at the plate is someone who's looking to provide a spark here in the 6th. First run is on the board against Mark Tyndall. And he'll look to squash out this little spark in the Bulldogs dugout here as he faces Tyler Cawley, who's no slouch at the plate.
Yeah, it's about the last person from this TLU lineup you want to be facing in the middle of your most difficult stretch of the night.
Popped straight back there from Cawley.
Cawley has something that I think is best referred to as grown man strength. I mean, this dude, when he gets a hold of a baseball, it's going flying. And especially the Trinity ballpark, you better not have parked your car in that front row in the parking lot, because that windshield's in danger.
Yeah, once it turns to baseball season, it is a reckless move to park out there. And that was a reckless pitch from Mark Tyndall, who appears to be struggling here, almost out of nothing. First run's on the board. Now there's 2 runners on. Tyndall just lost control of the movement there on the pitch.
Yeah, it looked like it might have been just like a slipped changeup or something. Tough one to take. And one thing about Mark Tyndall is that sometimes when things start to go poorly, they do have a tendency to steamroll at times. And so he'll be certainly looking to avoid that. Just something to keep an eye on, though. That was a good pitch, though.
It's up against Motzinger, who led off the 5th with a walk and struck out looking back in the 2nd. And Tyndall's got 2 excellent pitches here. He's ahead 0-2. Comes set and looks to get out of the inning with this pitch, and he does. It's strike 3 swinging. Tyndall's emphatic yell leads his troops back to the dugout, and they'll come back out with the bats, looking to extend the lead once again after TLU gets one back here in the top of the 6th.
He's back.
Malinowski still on the mound. The 4th edition of the Shamet-Malinowski duel here. He's 2 for 3. A couple of singles.
Man, you had the beginning of a great band name there. Shamet Malinowski Experience.
A mouthful, if nothing else.
I can't believe he's still out there, to be honest with you.
He appears to have found at least a semblance of control there as the curveball drops in. We saw a man throwing in the bullpen. You can still see somebody back there. Maybe they just want him out there to perhaps face Shamet. We're looking at a matchup, something that we don't see. Shamet is 2 for 3. Fouls that one back, and the count's even. Shamet had 2 doubles against Malinowski on the mound in the tournament matchup, which the Bulldogs took 6-3 last season. And here's another hard hit ball from Tiger left fielder, and it's going to get past the Bulldog outfield. We'll see what Shamet can make of it, and it looks like it'll be a triple, maybe an error. We'll see how it's scored, but he ends up on third base nonetheless, as it was a hard hit ball off the bat of Rafe Shamet, who has had his joys against this Bulldog team. That doesn't look good there for the center fielder. Colin Motzinger was unable to at least get the body behind it, and once it got behind him with Rafe Shamet's speed, third was a minimum. Potential that he could have maybe gone home.
Malinowski, I mean, credit the guy. He's continuing to compete. He's given his team hopefully some more innings, keeping the guys rested for tomorrow, but that's a rough place to leave your pitcher, man.
Somebody who he's done decently well against so far is Mason Meredith. 0 for 3, now down in the count 0 and 2.
You know, if you liked pitching in the 80s, though, you love this game, huh?
It's certainly been a mixed bag, without a doubt. And they continue to reach into that bag with Malinowski now at 111 pitches. And Meredith making him work for this 0-2 count.
Yeah, and I don't want to come off as if I'm the type of guy that's all about the pitch count, and as soon as a guy hits 100, his arm's going to blow up and I want to take him out of there. I don't believe that, but I do think there's something to be said for whether a pitcher is rolling, whether a pitcher has thrown high-stress innings, and Malinowski has certainly thrown a lot of high-stress innings, and I think that's the big thing with fatigue.
And that one hit right at the first baseman, and Meredith is pretty much the lone Tiger that's struggling offensively here. He's 0 for 4. And here's Michael Goodrich. He's 1 for 3, and he had the solo home run. Rafe Shamet waits on third. Here's a look at that home run. The only question really was it going to stay fair? And here's another one that's absolutely launched. Everyone turns to watch, except for the right fielder, Tyler Colley, who did well to bring that one in. Shamet scores, though, on the sac fly, and Goodrich does about the second best thing he could have done with that pitch, besides take it long.
Yeah, and I mean, we talked about it a little bit earlier in the game, but sac flies, a bit of an underappreciated skill in today's game, but it definitely is a skill. Just being able to put that ball in the air. He knew exactly what he was doing. Went oppo and got it done.
And Wisniewski looks to get the bunt single here, and he's unable to do so. It's a good defensive play by Malinowski, and that is the side retired. The Seventh run comes across for the Tigers in the form of Rafe Schmidt after a leadoff triple. And we'll be right back with you for the top of the seventh on the Tiger Network. And the catcher, Brandt, is the one poised to be Mark Tyndall's next victim. There's no doubt that he's been cruising throughout this game. And he's only allowed 3 hits, but 2 of those came, including the run, in the 6th inning. And we talked about over break. Maybe it's a good thing. Maybe it's a wake-up call, and he'll regain his composure, regain his control, and perhaps see out this game. 3 innings left to go for him. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he goes the distance.
No, certainly not, especially with the pitch counts we're seeing in today's game.
Quick update on the NCAA men's basketball side of things. Some upset alert as Liberty holds a 2-point lead over Mississippi State with just 20 seconds to play. So watch your brackets there, folks.
Yeah, I mean, mine's already ruined, but at least I called that, so.
A redeeming quality.
You gotta have a couple that make you feel a little bit smart.
I've had a lot that have made me feel a lot of bit dumb so far in this year's edition of the Big Dance. And Tyndall loses Brandt there as he pings the ball off his leg. Second hit batter in as many innings for the Tiger right-hander.
Yeah, and that one was a fastball for sure. It's a strange miss. It's not really a mechanical function for him, just the way he releases the ball. Gets back on track with a strike here, though. Chad Curtis, 6'3", 220 senior. For a guy that big, not as much power as you would expect thus far in the season.
Here's another one that looks like it may get down for the Bulldogs. It gets into the gap. Schmidt comes up throwing. We'll see if they send the runner around third. They don't. He holds, and with with no outs, there's 2 on. And something is brewing for the Bulldogs. Could it be a rally here against Mark Tyndall?
I'd like to personally apologize to Mark Tyndall for making comments about a batter's power right before he smacks a double. I feel like that's only fair.
Yeah, coming into it, this one, Curtis was only hitting .222. And the 1 home run, that's his second double so far this season.
A little bit of a mound conference with Tyndall. Probably asking him how he's feeling.
Trey Alba up to bat now. He's over 2. He's struck out and popped out. Joe Jimenez also over 2. Will be waiting on deck. At least in the course of this game, 2 gettable hitters here for Mark Tyndall. The pressure will be slightly on. He's got a big lead, but he's got 2 runners on in scoring position. If nothing else, an ERA to protect here for the man on the mound.
Yeah, absolutely. Pride. That's always on the line. And it looked like I caught a little bit of that conversation with the pitching coach, and it looked like he said, "It's your game." Tyndall said, "Lead me in." And here he is.
It's a big swing and a miss there from Trey Albo, left fielder. Yeah, the last 2 innings, Tyndall's rhythm has undoubtedly been disrupted. Resulted in a run last inning. It's resulted in a hot start to this inning for the Bulldogs. But a good start to this at bat for Tyndall. It's 1-2.
Yeah, and he seems to be a little bit more inconsistent out of the stretch, which is something that we've seen in the past as well. Just a tendency to coil slightly differently, and sometimes that leads to you having to make adjustments right at the release point, and that's the last place you want to be making them.
And he gets a big strike 3 as Goodrich holds on to the foul tip. And that rest or a little bit of inspiration brought from the dugout in the mound visit appears to have paid dividends, as Tyndall gets the swinging strikeout there. It's number 7 for him. Joe Jimenez, he's one of the 7 victims so far. San Antonio native, graduate from Johnson High School. He's fouled that one straight back. And looks like Liberty is going to hold on to beat Mississippi State. Second 5 seed to fall this year's edition of the tournament. Nothing in a sporting sense, besides maybe the World Cup, quite takes over the lives of people like March Madness. It's crazy. You'll be sitting in class, you've got the game. I mean, the person next to you has the game on. You're watching your bracket on your phone after class, of course. And it's not at all a distraction from academics, but, from everything else. March Madness just seems to be just that, madness. This one gets away from Goodrich, and that will bring a run across. That looked like something that Goodrich should normally have. We'll see if that goes as a pass ball or a wild pitch.
Is that a slider from him there?
Wasn't something we've seen. And with the 0-2 count, interesting to experiment. As the count has gone away. Don't believe that's correct. It's still Jimenez up, and Jimenez has made some solid contact here, and it's going to be taken in off the hop, but the Bulldogs won't go away here. It's 7-3 in the top of the 7th. Tyndall struggling. We'll see how long the leash is here for the Tiger right-hander.
My gut feeling is that they let him finish out this inning unless another run scores.
Austin Cologne stands in. He's a leadoff hitter for this Bulldog team, the second baseman. He got a hit his last time up, and there's going to be a visit to the mound for Tyndall. Tyndall was eager to hand over the ball.
That's never a good sign.
And they told him, no, hold on to it. Maybe just give the guy a little bit more time to warm up in the pen. They Eventually do hand the ball over to 38. I believe that's Corey Cater.
There's the man. Coming into the night, he was the ERA leader for the Tigers, 2.05.
Corey Cater, who in the first matchup between these two teams last season pitched 3 scoreless innings and got the win. He's got 3 wins this season. And some stellar stats out of the pen for the Sacramento, California native. We'll be right back with you after Cater gets an opportunity here to stretch out the arm. So the Tigers turn to Corey Cater with the tie to the game in the process, we'll say, of perhaps swinging for the Bulldogs. Damage has been done across the night already for the Tigers. They hold a 7-3 lead. There's certainly some momentum in the Bulldog camp, and Corey Cater's come in to squash that out.
Yeah, and he's exactly the man to turn to. Like we mentioned before the break, 2.05 ERA, and just electric stuff. He's got this over-the-top delivery, a lot of whip in his arm, and that fastball gets on you in a hurry. Classic reliever stare down too. It's an important quality.
That one misses badly there for Cater as he looks to settle in. He's up against Gardoni here. Is he? No, he's not. He's up against Cologne. This one's going to be a flip play made by Logan Morrison, and Corey Cater's got 1 out. Now the runner does advance to second base, and it brings up Thomas Varner. It's deceived by the number. Only saw 4, and it was 14. That was up to bat. Number 4 now waits on deck as Varner stands in. Had the single back in the first. That was the only hit that the Bulldogs had all the way up until the 6th inning. Nothing since from him.
And you can immediately tell just from the sound that that ball makes into the catcher's glove, the difference in velocity when you talk about Cater coming in. He's got a lot in the velocity tank, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I know with the Tiger team, when they do their inter-squad scrimmages, their practices, they use a pitching machine that's turned up quite high into the low 90s, mid-90s. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a common thing across top-quality baseball programs at the Division III level like TLU. But, you know, it's not easy to hit something that's coming at you that fast. We'll just say that, regardless of how much you practice.
Yeah, and there's something different about it in the game as well. You can practice it as much as you want, but when you have a guy standing 66 feet away from you, throwing it from a funky delivery, and you're down 3-7, man, that's a whole different thing.
Umpire liked that delivery there from Corey Cater, and so do his teammates and so do the fans as he comes in, gets 2 quick outs, and I'm sure we'll probably see him once again in the 8th. First, we'll see the Tigers. They look to extend the lead after the Bulldog resurgence there in the 7th. It's stretch time here in San Antonio. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome back to the bottom of the 7th, and guess who's back? It's Malinowski. Facing Dallas Bender here. Throws in that little comfort curveball that he's been working for the second half of his outing tonight. Every time he comes back out onto the mound, we're all a little bit surprised. Misses low with the fastball. That pitch count continues to rise, and in a game where you're only 4 runs down, I suppose it makes a little more sense now. He spikes this one into the left-handed batter's box. It's tough for me to get there, though, as my rationale would have been to take him out several innings earlier. Hits with a fastball on the low corner. It's just a matter for me, if the comeback was going to happen, I would have wanted a guy who was fresh to be in there when it did. But Malinowski, unbelievably, just pitching through the fatigue, gets a strikeout on the curveball. And all credit to him. He has been an absolute warrior this game. It's not been his best outing. He's not always had his best stuff. He's not always had his best control. But man, does the guy just continue to go out there and compete.
Certainly see why they have so much respect and why they leave him out there if he's going to continue to do as he's done. Struggled particularly in the second when they gave up 3 runs. It's been a fairly, I would say, evened out offensive performance across the innings. And it's been a mixed bag for Malinowski every time he goes to it. He's gone to it 121 times.
That's just not a number that you see these days in college baseball that much. Even in the pros, where some of those guys have longer leashes. That's just, it's pretty rare.
Yeah, you see it more frequently if, say, a guy's looking to finish off his complete game. It's the 9th inning. This is the 7th inning of a game where you're down by 4. And I think a lot of it probably has to do with the situation. 2 games tomorrow. Maybe they do feel as another called strike 3 there. That one looked like it came in inside. The umpire disagreed. And Johnson is sent packing. It's John Tucker now, who had the controversial walk and stranded on second in the 5th.
That's tight.
Umpire giving the right-hander the benefit of the doubt there.
He's kind of earned it at this point.
Exactly, yeah. My thoughts exactly there. Similar pitch. Doesn't go in his favor. It's 2-0. Fires back with the strike. And that one back in the dirt. But like I was saying before he got the strikeout, maybe they feel, you know, he's as good as any option they have despite where he's at in the pitch count. And they want to save some reliable bullpen arms for games where they're leading perhaps tomorrow, as Tucker smashes one foul.
I mean, he's going to get to 130. That's nuts. You know, I feel like we're stressing that a lot, but really, it is truly rare to even get to 120 and now to get to 130.
And he's got a full count against John Tucker here with 2 outs. There was a man warming up in the bullpen all the way back in the top of the 5th, I believe. Maybe it's the top of the 6th, but if he's still warming up over there, he's thrown quite a few. And Tucker not making it easy for him here as this at-bat's continued by the foul ball. And this isn't something you see in this season. You know, last season maybe he had this type of longevity. This season he hasn't in terms of innings. We don't have pitch count stats for each outing, but you can't imagine him throwing this many pitches in what he's averaged so far of 5 innings per start. So you'd love to be in the head of head coach Greg Burnett right now as Tucker takes a walk and still no movement from the Bulldog dugout.
And it gets to a point where you put yourself in a difficult position because your guy goes, "Oh, that was the thing that put me over the edge. You know, you left me in for the whole 6th and the 7th while I was kind of working through things, and I was all the way up at 130, and now you take me out. That's the reason." So, to me, you're just putting yourself in a difficult position here as a manager, where there's not really a good decision that you can make. Sure, you can put in a guy now, but your guy's out there, he's battling. He doesn't look awful. But if you leave him out there, you're risking 140 pitches, which is a lot.
He'll end the inning with 135 after the flip from Jimenez to his second baseman. And the side is retired. The lead stays at 4 here as we head into top of the 8th. It'll be Corey Cater on the mound for the home team when we come back. As anticipated, Corey Cater retakes the mound here against Nick Gardoni. Cater was very effective coming out in relief for Mark Tyndall. He grabbed 2 quick outs, including a strikeout to end the inning. And his velocity is no joke. You can just even visibly see the difference between what he's throwing and what what Mark Tyndall ended with.
Yeah, and it's pretty crazy as well because he doesn't have a super long stride. It's mostly just the coiling of the hips and the upper body where he gets his velocity from. It's a bit of a contortionist act, and I think part of the reason why he's often called upon in the bullpen is that command doesn't matter quite so much in those situations. And when you have a delivery that has so many moving parts, it's sometimes difficult to stay around the strike zone.
He's been effective, to say the least, so far this season. The Tigers have chosen him to try and see this one out. And he does get the strikeout. The foul tip is held well by Michael Goodrich. That's 2 straight strikeouts for Cater on the mound. The DH has the long, lonely walk back to the dugout. And Tyler Cawley is 0 for 2. That is not correct. No, it is. He was hit by a pitch. I was reading the score sheet wrong. He was hit by a pitch in the 6th.
Good little get you over curveball from Cater for the 0-1.
And the floor fell out from under that curveball from Cater. And Cawley was not impressed. I was certainly impressed by the movement on it. He was unimpressed by the call. And he's got solid contact here. It's gone over the head of Bender. See if it came off of his glove or came off of something in front of him. Either way, Cawley's reached base.
Yep, right off the glove.
It's a tough play for Bender. That's why they call it the hot corner. No time to react.
Yeah, and sometimes you just get those in the butt of your glove and they eat you up.
Not scored as an error. It'll be an infield single. And another solid contact made, but Meredith able to range across to his left, to his right, excuse me, and bring it in. Figure out left and right someday.
Yeah, he's not had a ton of work out there, but he's done well when called upon. Come up with some nice catches to get his guys out of innings.
It's a weird trend, really, you see with Mason Meredith. Towards the end of games, he always seems to start recording more and more outs. And I feel like there's so many variables to try to determine why that is, but it's just how it is. Towards the end of games, he's the man defensively for the Tiger team. If you're joining us late, Texas Lutheran comes into this one ranked number 8 in the country. Tigers number 1 in the Division III polls. This is the SCAC opener for Texas Lutheran. The Tigers already 3-0 after sweeping Dallas over spring break. And this one is chopped foul. It's the first top 10 matchup we've seen here in San Antonio. The second time a ranked opponent has come to town. Cortland, the first victims of this Tiger team this season. They came to this one ranked 18th, and they dropped both games. Then Endicott came in as well ranked, and the Tigers won that series 2-1. So a chance for the Tigers to continue to add to that resume that's gotten them to the number 1 spot in the country. It's been a team that they've pretty much drawn level with over the last 4 or so seasons. 10 wins apiece over that time period. Before that, you see the Tigers start to pull away in the all-time record. A sweep in the year before. But it's been always a good matchup, always a good series between these two teams. Something for the Tigers to prove, as the Bulldogs were the team to contribute to their being knocked out of the SCAC tournament and therefore the NCAA tournament last season. So all kinds of implications on this series. The Tigers got out to an early lead, 1-0, as the we'll resume that summary of the game so far when we get to the bottom of the 8th. Corey Cater's been absolutely dealing since coming in, as the Tigers get another strikeout, and we head to the bottom of the 8th. It'll be Jake Martin to lead off here in the bottom of the 8th against... He's still out there, Sam.
I know.
Get the pitch counter up after this first offering. But at this point, it seems pretty evident that they're looking to save the bullpen for tomorrow, if at all possible. Perhaps throwing in the towel a bit and saying, let's go get him tomorrow. Of course, a rally in the top of the 9th, and they'd probably consider throwing someone else if there was to be a bottom of the 9th. It's 137 on the pitch count now.
Yeah, and I mean, I understand the strategy of it, but that's gone. Yep.
No doubt about it. Jake Martin absolutely rips one over the left field wall. And maybe the pitch count really starting to show through for Malinowski. What a night for Jake Martin. I was just about to get to the recap of the scoring. That's his 3rd RBI. There was no doubt about that. That's the 3rd home run for the Tigers tonight.
Yeah, and that's got to be the end of Malinowski's light. I mean, just, you got to give the guy a break. And it looks like that's exactly what's happening as we see this replay. You just knew off the bat.
It was almost like batting practice there for Martin. So that one,
man, that's deep.
That one traveled at least 330, 340, well over the wall. It's 310 out there and left. Now to give you the scoring summary so far of this one. Catch you up if you're just now joining us. We'll do it here as Hickey warms up. It was the Tigers who scored on the Mason Meredith sac fly in the 1st inning, and then they grabbed 3 more after Dallas Bender went yard on the solo shot, and then the aforementioned Jake Martin single brought home both Blake Johnson and John Tucker. And at this point, Mark Tyndall was just absolutely rolling for the Tigers. He rolled all the way until the 6th, where the Tigers were ahead 5-0, and both teams scored in the 6th to make it 6-1. Tyndall eventually departed after giving up 2 in the 7th, and then we just saw the most recent run, which knocked out Malinowski after basically 140 pitches. Here's that Bender home run, the first of 3 on the night. All solo shots for the Tigers. Here's Michael Goodrich, who put it on the line out over that same left field wall. Only question there was it going to stay fair? And it did. And he rounded the bases, and here's the most recent. Jake Martin, a little bit of a bat flip, and that one's over the trees out there and left, over the number 41. No doubt about it from Tigers senior right fielder. So now you're all caught up and ready to finish this one out as the Tigers have a 5-run lead, and Rafe Shamet's at the plate to face the new pitcher, Hickey.
Yeah, and you want funk? Because I've got funk. Look at that. We're talking about Matthew Hickey, 6-foot lefty, sidearm delivery, and we're about to get slider heavy, baby.
I feel like with a name like Hickey, you had to bring something to the table, and he's brought quite a bit here with the sidearm delivery, all kinds of motion. Something different for the Tigers to look at. You get the feeling they were hoping to save him for tomorrow, and was the thinking in bringing Malinowski out here again, but you were just setting the man up for failure. His ERA continues to climb after a stellar season last year where it was under 1.5.
Yeah, and this is one of the most difficult matchups Shamet's going to face. Sidearm lefty, ton of movement on his pitches. I mean, sidearm lefty is funky enough, but then he has the Clayton Kershaw hitch in his delivery. He comes at you from 2 different arm slots, 3/4 and sidearm.
And Shamet's chopped this one right back up the middle. In the Our Lady of the Lake matchup, we saw him hit one off the mound and go through the middle. That one completely hopped over the mound. And if Hickey had about 3 more inches, maybe he brings this one in. To see his leap was nowhere near sufficient as that one rolled out into center field. And quietly, I feel like Rafe Shamet has had an absolutely monster night. That is his 4th hit. He's 4 for 5 with a triple. What a night for the man that the Tigers rely on offensively. It's been a different fortune for Mason Meredith. He struggled to an extent as he'll stay alive here. Did have the sac fly, which we certainly commend back in the first inning. Got it all started. Since then, it's been a bit less productive from the Tiger center fielder. The numbers on Matthew Hickey, a 4.38 ERA this season. He's managed a 3.0 record, though, and 7 appearances, all of which came in relief. So Hickey, not one of the best arms out of the bullpen for TLU, but he's certainly one of the more reliable ones. He's played a part in a few of TLU's victories this season, which they have 13. Coming to this 13-5, the Tigers 16-3, looking to win their 20th game of the season and extend the win streak to 10. And watch out now for, I believe there was double-digit number of people left in the country with a perfect bracket. Yep, 49. If you're one of those 49, go ahead and call in now to the Tiger Network, and we will commend you. But UNC losing at halftime to Iona, 38-33. And at that point, I would hand in the towel as I have them in my final. 2-2 count now for Mason Meredith. He looks over for a sign. There's nobody out and the runner on first. He's going to chop this one into the outfield. Based off the reaction of the crowd, something may have gone amiss there defensively. And Chad Curtis there checks the dirt with his foot. It may have taken a hop.
Yep.
That's one way to put it. The kind way to put it. We'll leave it at that. Took a nasty hop there for the second baseman, Austin Collin. So 2 on, nobody out for Hickey, the reliever. And Michael Goodrich looks in. Plenty of power potential as the hit and run was on. And they get the man running. Goodrich was unable to make contact. And somebody's very excited about it. Rafe Shamet's thrown out stealing. He's not convinced. See if we don't have a replay look at it. Shamet staying out there as this conversation goes on. Once he leaves, he's officially out. As there's discussion amongst the umpires here. And they stick with the initial decision. Shamet can't believe it. He's certainly not the type to get thrown out stealing. One of the fastest players on the Tiger roster. And you hear head coach Tim Scannell's opinion of it. And the whistling from the TOU fans sounds like something out of the Netflix original Bird Box.
That's fantastic.
Goodrich now still with the runner in scoring position. But one gone. And the hit and run was on, but Hickey missed so badly that Goodrich couldn't get contact on him. It was so far outside, he saw he extended as far as he could in a valiant effort to try and complete his end of the deal.
You know, sometimes in life your arms just aren't long enough.
And that was one of those times. Shamet in the background of your picture there, already with the glove, ready to go. Tigers adding on some insurance here.
Oof.
In the 8th. That was another one that had potential for the fences from Goodrich. He hooked it a bit too far foul. Very similar swing to the one he put over that left field wall.
Yeah, when he gets on his back foot and really looks to do damage, that ball is flying.
And it looked like Hickey had him on his back foot there as the off-speed pitch retires the Tigers' catcher.
I really do think that if Hickey could find a little bit more consistency inside the strike zone, this kid would be nasty.
He's just so unconventional. Maybe if you see him 2-3 times in a season, you start to figure it out, but you aren't in the college game. You're not going to see him more than twice, probably.
I mean, to me, it's something that I would look into is the balance, is making sure he's always coming down on that same exact spot on that left leg. You see when he falls off of it just a little bit, every once in a while, he'll get a little bit outside of himself or he'll stay a little bit inside of himself. And either one of those is kind of, you know, not the ideal thing for his mechanics because that's how he's propelling himself with that sidearm delivery.
He's come out here and he's attacked Wisniewski, all kinds of movement and all kinds of precision as well, finding the strike zone twice to make it 0-2. Wisniewski, one of just 2 lefties in this Tiger lineup. Shamet, the other, struggle particularly with Hickey's left-handed delivery. And Wisniewski's chopped this one, should be playable for Jimenez. And that is a solid play made by the Bulldogs shortstop, as they'll get one last chance here, one last look at what's most likely going to be Corey Cater. They're down 5, and we'll see what they have in the 9th inning when we come back. One last look at the Jake Martin absolute bomb. The unofficial ruling from our unofficial distance ruler, Josh Maxajemba, puts it somewhere in the 430, 440 range.
Man, look at that thing fly.
Here's solid contact made out into center field. Chad Curtis will be retired as Mason Meredith continues his late inning antics. Talked about last inning how he tends to pop up late on and get outs.
I think there's perhaps something about desperation that gives you pop-ups to center. There's nothing scientific behind that. That's just my guess, but it feels right, and I think that's all that's important in this day and age.
Cole Irby is going to be a pinch hitter here.
From
he has
Buda, Texas.
7 at-bats on the season, and a 0 average would suggest he's yet to record a hit. And Wisniewski has booted that one out into shallow center. He's going 2, and that was just Bush League from the Tigers defensively there. Would usually refrain from that term against the home team, but I think they'll be the first to admit that this was well below their usual standard. Wisniewski loses the ball. He's sprinting after it, turns, and where is the covering? It's not there. It's just not there. And that's one to forget about, as
it was fun to watch him rumble in there, though.
you hate to see it for Irby, who would like it to be scored as a hit. And it may be, as Irby's going to be pinch ran for, perhaps unsurprisingly, for
Pitch runner number 5 with one of the best names that I've ever seen.
Yep, pronunciation guide is on the way. Just give me a second.
I'll give you a sneak peek. His first name is Blade, which is an excellent start. Cater gives Jimenez a stare down.
Strelsick is the official ruling.
Blade Strelsick. You know, sometimes life gives you an opportunity, and that was one taken.
You could call him the Blade Runner, as he comes in as a pinch runner here, stands on second base.
I don't know if I've ever loved anything more than that.
He has to be fast with a name like Blade Strelsick. And he is one of 5 runs that the Bulldogs would need to get back into this one. As Joe Jimenez, who was able to single on his last time up, stands in, the number 9 hitter. And he's going to be rung up there. Corey Cater back to business. He's got 2 outs here in the 9th.
And he definitely went around there. Great breaking ball. Clearly not expected. And that's a deadly combo.
So Austin Colon, the last hope for TLU. Came to this game ranked number 8 in the country. Came to this season as the national runners-up. They ended up ranked number 2 after falling to UT Tyler 5 times over the course of the season, 2 times when it mattered in the World Series.
I mean, Cater didn't have to do him dirty like that.
He really didn't, but he did. Interestingly, the Tigers actually beat UT Tyler last season, early on. That's all in the past. Present is what the Tigers hope will be their 10th consecutive victory, their 17th overall. And they are 1 out away.
Can't believe you passed up the chance to say Cater checks the Blade Runner.
Taking it right out of my back pocket. And there it is, strike 3. The Tigers take the first game of the series against the number 8 in the country, Texas Lutheran Bulldogs. The Tigers looking to hold on to that number 1 spot, and they've done excellently to start the series here. You get a look at the final line score. Tigers come out 8-3 victors, 14 hits, just the 1 error in the 9th. 6 hits for TLU. They were blanked for 5 innings by Mark Tyndall, who will get the win. Corey Cater came in to finish it off. Won't get the save because of the run difference. Most notably for the Tigers offensively, Rafe Shamet went 4 for 5 with a triple. And Jake Martin went, trying to read my own scorekeeping here, he went 3 for 5 with a home run and 3 RBI. And if that is wrong, I apologize. Either way, we'll be back with you tomorrow at 2 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the doubleheader. We'll also have softball on the Tiger Network between the 2 teams. Here's a quick look at Dallas Binder's home run, which was the first of the 3 solo shots that the Tigers had tonight. Michael Goodrich also taking the starter Malinowski yard. And then Jake Martin. Can't get enough of this look at Jake Martin's home run. See you later. And we hope we will see you later tomorrow at 2 o'clock on the Tiger Network for some more baseball here in San Antonio. For Sam McWhorter, Josh Maxagimba, and the whole crew making it possible for you, thank you for joining us tonight. Have a good night.